Okay, so I had a few questions this week come in about Google Analytics, and so I thought I might do a basic kind of overview of how it works. And from the front page, I'm not going to get too deep into this, but I'm just going to point out a few things that I think could be very helpful for you. We'll start right here at the top of the home page. This is obviously visits per day or sessions per day. Uh, but we'll really kind of start diving in right here at this area. Um, so Google has split out their data into three basic sections: sessions, users, and page views. And you can see that right here. So a session is so if you just call your visitor Bob. Bob comes to your website. Bob looks around your website and leaves. That is a session. Google has gotten good at measuring that activity, the entering and leaving time. So then Bob is the user, and page views is the number of pages that Bob looked at while he was there. Hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, you can contact me and we can get a little bit deeper into it. So pages per session, you can see that matches up nicely with these numbers. Um, Average session duration is 1 minute 9 seconds. Bounce rate is 70%, which is a little higher than you want it to be, but it's not too bad. New sessions is 82.11%. Now, this site does run AdWords. So with AdWords, one of the things you'll recognize if you've watched your analytics, you'll recognize that when you started an AdWords campaign, your bounce rate went up. Your new session ratio went up, meaning that you had more new than returning visitors, which is normal, but it's very kind of out of balance when you look at it from a standpoint of purely versus purely organic. And then your average session duration, which is this number right here, goes down. So before, I happen to know on this site that before we started the AdWords, the average session duration was well over 2 minutes, 2.5 minute range, which is pretty good. The bounce rate was down around 50%, 40%. The bounce rate is the number of visitors that come in, look at one page and leave. You want that to happen as few times as possible, but AdWords again makes that go up. Google does account for that in the AdWords algorithm. So you don't have to worry too much about it hitting you, but you do want to try to keep that down. There's all kinds of methods to do that. You can look around on my website. I talk about conversion and bounce rate and stuff like that. But that's what this is all about. Now, here's one. It's not really a trick so much as it is just a function of Google Analytics. This is a really easy thing to do. Anybody can do it. You can drop in, make one click, hit enter, and you get a lot of information. So what it is this compare to box. You click this, hit apply. Now you'll see these shadow dates in here. What it's doing is it's going 1 month before from the date that you're on it. That's what's really nice about this. This is a really well-designed comparative tool, because without you doing anything, it assumes you want to go previous month. I'm telling you, if Microsoft designed this, you would have to go back to the first on both months, and you'd have to go through a couple of other hoops, and you might have to actually leave the app to go find something to make something work. But this is really nice and straightforward. You make one click, you hit apply, and now you're going to see a second layer of data come up. And so now you can go month to month and go, okay, last month we did these things. This month we're doing these other things, and we can see whether we went up or down. Now, where I want to caution you is don't get too wrapped up in this. There's so much that goes into web site visitor behavior. So how often they visit, how many visit at a time. Spring break just happened. Spring break affects numbers of almost every single website because you have such a massive movement of mobile and online friendly users all doing something different than they normally do. Summer break is a big one, but I think spring break is even much, much bigger. Christmas, New Year's, any big holiday where you have time off. These are all things that affect traffic. Doctors' offices see spikes on Monday because you have injuries that are not major enough to take you offline and force you to go to an ER, but they will. Something I want to check out on Monday. I turned my ankle, I'm limping a little bit, I want to see what's going on, that kind of thing. So, understanding your business, this is one of the great, beautiful things about Google Analytics, is it will tell you a lot about the behavior of the people who use your products or services that maybe you didn't see before. Or maybe you did, but there's a good possibility you're going to find something in here you have not seen before. I want to go over very quickly. Let's cover one more thing in here real fast. Obviously, you can change these dates to anything you want to. A really good, useful tool is what's called year over year. You'll see this in a lot of analysis data. Is year over year numbers or year on year numbers. So you can go back to February, March, April of 2014, 2013, 2012, and you can see how your numbers are. This is really useful when you can just at the click of a button go back to, say, 2008, when we were really going through the crunch. You can see, well, this is what behavior was like. And especially when you overlay this with your sales numbers, because if your sales numbers are down 40%, but your web traffic is up, something's out of whack. Now, it may not be under your control, but at least you can get some definition on it. Okay. So again, this is a very, very useful tool. I really like it. So we're going to go ahead and keep that comparison in place. I'm going to look at a couple of other things really quickly. Let's go over these concepts really fast. These categories here. Sessions, this is up 2.5%. Users is up almost 9%. Page views are down, which could mean there's something wrong. With it only 5%, it's not that big a deal. More likely, it's just we got a little bigger hit with AdWords this month. Bounce rate is worse, 4.5% worse. Again, probably attributable to AdWords. Average session duration went down. Again, that's an AdWords trait. Pages and per session, that's again something directly attributable to AdWords. This all points to having a hot AdWords month. That's really what it points to. Now, I do want to point something out real fast. That's an important thing to take into consideration. You see this little spike here. That's always not a red flag, but just a flag that goes up in my mind. I want to go see what that spike's about. So session duration, that's a good thing to go in and check on. So this day, all of a sudden we had a session duration spike. Now, this is a really typical cause of this is social media. You've put a post out there that was hot, that sent a lot of traffic to your site. That's a really, really important metric to grab onto, because if you've tried to do any social media marketing, you probably have experienced some frustration because there are giant gaps in conversion in the social media space and trying to get people to do what you want them to do, because people are on social media are motivated by all kinds of things. So it's like kind of like herding cats. You're trying to get people corralled down to, hey, make this decision. Well, they don't make that decision a lot because they're thinking about their family, or they just had kittens, or they just bought the new car, or shipping the daughter off to school, or the daughter just graduated school, daughter just got the first job. All this stuff's going around in their head, and they don't want to look at your toothache video. So that's when you see a spike like this, if it is social media, you want to go in there and dig in and find out what made people react like this, because it's unusual. So that's a really good, useful aspect of Google Analytics. So I'm not going to get into any of these on the side. I just want to show them to you. Probably one of the most useful tools of Google Analytics is user flow. You can go into this and it will show you the pages that people are using, and it will show you from where they came and where they went to when they left it, if they did leave that page. Very useful. We'll get into that in the next video. I hope this has helped. If you've got any questions, you can always contact me.